Hand and finger weakness are some of the most common and most frustrating issues that I see after someone has had a stroke. So today we're going to go through a 10-minute workout designed to strengthen hand and finger muscles. All you're going to need is either 2 washcloths or 2 stress balls like these from my cheap and effective therapy tools video. Let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to start by doing a gentle warm-up of our hand and finger muscles. So what I want you to do is to make a fist and then gently open it. We're gonna do this for about 45 more seconds. Now, if you can't get your hand open all of the way, that is okay. We know that finger and wrist extension are 2 of the most difficult movements to get after a stroke. And if you're wondering why that is, I actually made a video on that a while back, which you can check out clicking the link above. All right, so let's go ahead and keep going. We're just trying to get those fingers out as far as you can. Very nice. Warming up all of those muscles as we prepare to get into some of these exercises. Doing a great job. I hope you all are having a good day today. All right, we are getting ready to move into our first exercise, which is finger push-ups. Now for this exercise, you actually aren't going to need any of this, so you can put that aside. And what you're going to do, if you can, you're gonna get your hands flat on the table or a flat surface. Now, if you can't get them completely flat, try to just get in this position. But what we're going to try to do is basically push up our hand using all of our fingers and then resting back down. Now, if you're in this position, you can still try to push up and then actively bring your hand back down. Don't just let it flop. So we're pushing up using our fingers to push up and then relaxing, pushing up, up, up. Those fingers are pushing down into whatever surface you're on. So like I said, if you can get your fingers flat, then do it that way. And if not, you're coming in here and your fingers are staying curled, and that's fine. Pushing up and relaxing. Moving on to exercise number 2, we're working on pinch strengthening. Now for this one, depending on what you have, you can take a washcloth and fold it in half like this. You can put the washcloth between your thumb and your index finger here and push down flat. Then you can try to take it between your thumb and each of your other fingers. You can use them at the same time, that's fine, or you can do it individually. Now, if you have got the stress balls, I'm gonna use the least resistance for this. You can do the same thing. You're pinching here, here, ring finger and thumb, ooh, and pinky and thumb. That one's really hard. Use whatever you have. So if you don't have the stress balls, you don't have to have any equipment. You can use the washcloth you have. But if you liked these from my last video and you ended up getting them, this is a nice way to use them. All right, moving on to exercise 3, we're going into palm squeezes. So for this one, you're either going to take your washcloth, which you're going to ball up, or you're going to use one of the stress balls. And I'm going to take the blue one, which is the most resistive. For palm squeezes, we're going to put that palm in between both of your hands. If you have a hard time getting your affected hand open, that's okay. Try to squeeze it in there. And then all you're going to do is try to squeeze that ball or that washcloth in between your hands. Palm squeezes, right? Squeezing your palms together. Now, if you're using the washcloth, you've just balled that up and you're trying to squeeze your hands together as hard as you can. You're finding a position here, here, resting on the table, wherever it is that feels most comfortable to you. Okay, exercise number 4, this is going quickly. We're moving into claw fist. So for claw fist, you're gonna take your fingers and instead of making a full fist like this, you're going to try to claw up your fingers and then relax them. Even if you can't fully extend, that's okay. If you are able to, I want you to do that. So you're taking the stress ball or the washcloth. Let me move this up just a little bit. And you're making a claw fist like a cat. and squeezing your fingers into that stress ball. Now, if you've got Theraputty at home left over from some of your rehab, you can use that as well. Here's the washcloth. It's giving you something to try to dig into. You can even lay your hands flat if that's helpful. But the goal is, like I said, is not to make a complete fist, but to make sort of a claw and then squeeze. Go ahead and relax. Moving on to the last exercise in our set, which is alternating hand squeezes. Now, I really like this one because we get both strengthening and coordination training. So I'm gonna take these stress balls here for this one. You can use the 2 washcloths though. You want one in each of your hands, and what you're going to do is squeeze one hand. Maybe you start with unaffected first, and then you're gonna try to squeeze the affected. And you're gonna go back and forth. Back and forth. Squeezing, squeezing and relaxing, squeezing and relaxing. For an increased challenge, you can try to pick up the pace and make that pace quicker as you move between hand and hand. Wonderful job. We're taking a 15-second rest break here, so just take a breath. Get a sip of water if you need to. Pause the video at any time. And remember, as with all of my videos, if you ever start to feel pain or something does not feel right, stop. But with that said, we're moving back into the first exercise, finger push-ups. So recall, we don't need any equipment for this one. Fingers are either coming out flat or you are curling your fingers up. Ooh, that ball wants to keep rolling over here. And you're either gonna be pushing up, pushing those fingers down into the surface and relaxing, or fingers are coming out flat and you're pushing up, trying to get your hand and your palm off of the table and then relaxing. You're holding for just a couple seconds at the top, so you're really feeling that strengthening happening in your fingers and your hand. Pushing up, and then relaxing. Each one of these exercises is about 60 seconds long and no specific set number of repetitions. We're just doing what feels comfortable to you in each 60 seconds. All right, we're moving on to exercise number 2. We're back at pinch strengthening. So for this one, I showed you with the ball last time. I'm gonna grab the washcloth. For an even greater challenge, you can even fold that washcloth over more. So maybe you start with some pinch strengthening between your thumb and your index finger, and you're just squeezing that washcloth as hard as you can between those 2 fingers. Maybe you bring your middle finger into it, squeezing that way. This is called a 3-jaw chuck pinch. Maybe you bring that ring finger in and you're using all of them. You're bringing your pinky in and squeezing. Now for the added challenge, like I mentioned last time, you're gonna stick with each finger individually. This is a lot harder. And if your fingers stay curled in, you can still try to squeeze even as they're curled. It is okay if you're starting this way. Eventually you'll start working to try to get those fingers straightened out. But we're moving on to exercise number 3, which again, we're back at palm squeezes. Now for this one, I showed you with the ball last time. For this one, I'm gonna show you with the washcloth. This is where you're trying to get that washcloth here in your hands and you're trying to squeeze your 2 palms together. I like this one because you're not only involving hand and fingers, but you're also involving your forearms as well. And we know that you know, our fingers, our hands, they don't act alone. Those muscles don't act alone. Those tendons actually run, and muscle bellies for our fingers actually run up the length of our arm. So it's important that we're strengthening our forearm muscles as well. Okay, keep squeezing, holding there, and let's go ahead and relax, moving on to exercise number 4, which is the claw fist. So I showed you both ways last time. You can either take the ball and you're kind of going into this claw fist position, which looks a little weird. As I mentioned, if you do have TheraPutty left over from your rehab, you can use that too. The only thing that I don't like about TheraPutty is it is very messy when it heats up. And if you get it on your clothes, on your carpet, on the rug, it can be really difficult to get up, which is why I like these little stress balls, or even using something as simple as a washcloth. So again, like I mentioned with the other one, you can roll that washcloth up even more to give you more resistance. And then you're squeezing as hard as you can into that claw fist. All right, wonderful job. Guess what? We are moving on to our last exercise, which is alternating hand squeezes. So for this one, I'm gonna show you with the washcloths this time. Now, if you have trouble folding them up, you may need to get someone to help you with that. But washcloths are free if you have them around the house, so you don't have to go out and buy anything if you would like to still do this workout. Now recall for this one, we're squeezing, alternating, unaffected, then affected, unaffected, affected. For that greater challenge, you're gonna start to pick up the pace. Squeezing, relaxing, back and forth, because that alternating piece gives us that added bit of coordination as well as strengthening. Doing fantastic. Give me one more on each hand. Relax. Wonderful job today, everyone. I hope that you found this workout helpful for hand and finger strengthening. As always, I'm gonna leave a link down below if you'd like to sign up for the email list, which gets you free stroke recovery tips and motivational emails, as well as a free copy of my ebook, The Stroke Recovery Pocket Guide. And if you find value in what we do here at Post Stroke and You're Able, please consider donating, either by giving us a super thanks down below in the YouTube bar, by donating once via PayPal, or by becoming a Patreon member, where in exchange for a monthly donation, you get access to cool perks like social media shoutouts, behind the scenes footage, and even YouTube shoutouts, of which I have one today. Thank you again so much to Doug C. for continuing to contribute at our Empower level. We can't do what we do without you. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.